This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple's got a new people person, 4 guesses at Apple's least owned device, and Apple Pay Later, and Apple Pay Later. It is Thursday, the 9th of February, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Apple leadership has a new position and a new person to fill it. 9 to 5 Mac says the Cupertino company has named its first ever Chief People Officer. Greetings and salutations to Carol Surface. New to Apple, though not new to the people thing. The piece says Surface heads to Apple after 10 years at Medtronic, where she served as VP of HR. Before that, it was 3.5 years as VP of HR at Best Buy. Before that, it was over a decade in human resources and personnel at PepsiCo, according to the report. Surface officially starts at Apple in March, leaving Deirdre O'Brien, Apple's Senior VP of Retail Plus People, to focus exclusively on retail. So, minus people. O'Brien had been Apple's VP of Worldwide Sales and Operations until 2017, which is when she was given the VP of People title. 2 years later, when then head of retail Angela Ahrens left the company, retail was added to O'Brien's title. As for the new person over people, it's not just experience that brought her to Apple's big, round HQ. 9 to 5 Mac says Surface has a BA in psychology from Castleton University. She's also got a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology from Central Michigan University. Now, I can't help wondering to whom the whole retail union questions will fall. Deirdre O'Brien is head of retail. Carol Surface is Chief People Officer, or will be next month. Meanwhile, the people, Surface, in retail, O'Brien, keep courting unionization. For the latest, we go to Glasgow, where Engadget says the first union for an Apple store in the United Kingdom is officially official. Months after voting to make it so, the site says Apple and the trade union GMB Scotland have signed a collective bargaining agreement that theoretically gives staff at the Buchanan Street store more clout when it comes to pushing for improved working conditions. When the vote was held in November, workers were said to be seeking better pay, increased wage transparency, and improved shift scheduling. No word on next steps between Buchanan Street workers and the Cupertino company. Staying in the UK, Apple's got a date with a magistrate. Maybe, I don't know. Lawyers will be involved, I know that. Mostly, I like the rhyme. Anyway, Apple's UK antitrust appeal has been scheduled. You may remember this one from a few weeks back. Late last month, Mac rumors had Apple trying to stall an investigation in the United Kingdom against the Cupertino company. Back in November of last year, the Competition and Markets Authority, or CMA in the UK, started looking into cloud gaming and mobile browser restrictions, put in place by both Apple and Google. Apple's lawyers say there was a set time frame for this investigation, and the CMA missed it. As a result, Apple wants the investigation tossed. Now a piece from 9 to 5 Mac says that short, sweet show will go on. That site cites a report from Foss Patents that says the hearing of the application has been listed on the 10th of March 2023 with a time estimate of 1 day. Short and... well, short anyway. Why did Apple drop computer from its name? Probably the same reason Nathan Huffines changed his. Apple Insider has word of new numbers from Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, or CIRP. According to those, the Mac is the least owned Apple gear among people who own Apple gear. According to the firm's findings, most people who own an Apple thing own more than one Apple thing. Not surprisingly, iPhone is tops among all of them, with 90% of survey participants packing one of Apple's communicators. iPad is the second most owned, coming in at 73% of respondents. Apple Watch is third, with 58% ownership. And finally, we find the Mac in fourth place, showing ownership at 50% among survey respondents. Kind of weird, though not shocking if you think about it. You use an Apple Watch with an iPhone. You can use an iPhone or an iPad either as a standalone device or in conjunction with a Mac or a PC. Lots of ways to make a little Apple ecosystem of one's own. No traditional computer required. As for people who own but one Apple device, the Mac comes in third. In fairness to the watch, though, you can't have just an Apple Watch since it requires an iPhone to work. As for ranking, it's iPhone, iPad, then Mac for respondents who own one Apple device and one Apple device only. That said, CIRP says a majority of Apple owners do own a number of Apple devices. Actually, they've got 4 of the company's products, according to the report. Apple Pay Later may be coming soon, while Apple Pay is apparently hitting South Korea later. First one first, Mac Rumors highlights a Bloomberg report that says Apple's 80,000-strong retail workforce in the U.S. has been given a beta to test for Apple Pay Later. In case you've forgotten, Mac Rumors says the service, announced last year at WWDC, is a buy now, pay later financing option that will let qualifying customers in the U.S. split a purchase made with Apple Pay into 4 equal payments over 6 weeks with no interest or fees to pay. The feature will be built into Apple's Wallet app on the iPhone and iPad. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has said in the past that the feature would fly with iOS 16.4. For his part, Apple CEO Tim Cook told CNBC last week that Apple Pay Later will be launching soon. Looks like it might be slow going for Apple Pay in South Korea. Earlier this week, TechCrunch said South Korea's Financial Service Commission had given the go-ahead for the service in that country. Might still take a while, though. That is according to the service's first anticipated partner there. A piece from Nikkei has a statement from Hyundai Card saying, "We look forward to collaborating with Apple to introduce Apple Pay to South Korea. We will share more details in the coming months." And finally today, if you're a UnitedHealthcare customer and a modern tech user, the one is offering rewards for sharing info from the other. Apple Insider says UnitedHealthcare Rewards is offering up to $1,000 for eligible members, including spouses, when they complete various daily health goals and one-time activities. Think Apple Watch activity challenges, but with cash and no Apple Watch. The piece says customers can also use a smartphone capable of tracking health, such as an iPhone and Apple's Health app. Activities listed by the insurer include hitting 5,000 steps or more each day, completing 15 minutes or more of activity per day, tracking sleep for 14 nights, getting a biometric screening, completing a health survey, and selecting paperless billing. Oh, and there's other stuff. Additional qualifying activities will be added throughout the year, according to UnitedHealthcare. Having laid that out, Apple Insider does bring up one sort of uncool caveat. The insurer will need access to members' health data, such as sleep and exercise activity, that they might not have had before. As an insurance company, UnitedHealthcare could use the data in various ways, such as using it to make healthcare decisions. The way the site sees it, paying $1,000 for such information may be a bargain for UnitedHealthcare. I will add that might be especially true since you might not get the full $1,000, while the company will still get all of the health information. Maybe it's worth it, just please go in eyes open. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, TMO Managing Editor Jeff Butts and I will talk over Apple's new hire over hires. Plus, there are better ways to track your dog than with an AirTag. Jeff will tell us a few. That is all today on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.